The Ukrainian city of Sloviansk was hit hard by a barrage of Russian shelling. That city has taken heavy rocket and artillery fire in the conflict, with the bombardment picking up in just the last few days. And as Russia's advance continues, there is only one eastern province still under Ukraine's control. And the governor there is urging its 350,000 residents to evacuate now. He is stressing that getting people out of Donetsk is necessary to save lives and to allow Ukrainian forces to defend the towns from the Russians. Joining me now is Air Force Major Ignacio. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Major Ignacio. We appreciate it.
Nice to be with you.
Can you give us a little bit of insight with your background in the Air Force? Does Ukraine have what it needs in order to hold off this Russian advance?
Well, I mean, Ukraine has been getting a significant amount of weapons from, of course, the West and NATO, which is definitely important. The hard part is that with Russia right on the border, they've been able to, refresh their troops, refresh their weapons a lot quicker. That's the hard part, is the massive amount of numbers. However, Ukraine has been doing a very good job holding it off. As you can see, that one city of Kramatorsk is one of the last cities remaining, and there's about 300,000 people they're trying to get out. I was there a month ago, and we're trying to do the same thing, set up programs like that so that when Odessa and Mykolaiv areas start getting hit, which they are, people will be able to evacuate out of there as well. Hopefully the people would have left by now, but that's the scary part when people are left behind. It restricts your military operations.
Absolutely. And we know there was that $800 million aid package to Ukraine. We're seeing reports that one man, for example, resorted to playing dead in order to head off the Russians, in order to survive. Can you give us any sort of insight or inside look into the people of Ukraine? Do the people on the ground actually have what they need to win this war?
Yeah, great question. When you're in a combat area outside of, Kyiv is sort of a safer area, but when you get into more of the combat areas to the east, to see some of the things that the Ukrainians are doing for each other is monumental. You see them bending over backwards, helping with food, first aid, anything that they can to help each other out. The difficult part is, like I said, when I was there about 4 weeks ago, 24/7, one of the things I was asked for was always body armor. This was from military, civilians, police, militia. So some of that equipment that can unfortunately be pilfered never got to the Far East and the people that need it. The big weapons do, but some of the smaller equipment like that is hard. But I'll tell you, the resolve of the Ukrainian people is phenomenal. That's one thing. Unbelievable.
I think we have been continually impressed with their resilience, their resourcefulness. Forgive me, I'm actually going to read this because it's a fairly new report, but we would love to get your insight on this. A new report saying that the biggest new weapon to surveil Russia or China may actually be high-altitude balloons used to spot hypersonic weapons. When you see this, do you think this might be, it seems like tech from the last century, but do you think that this could make a difference?
Actually, yes. This has been used for a lot of years. And in fact, on the border, we have a lot of tethered balloons that are able to hold surveillance equipment. But this new stuff is actually interesting. These are where the artificial intelligence can actually navigate, and these balloons can actually hang up around 90,000 feet and so forth for a long duration and be able to manipulate the slipstream up there. So you basically have people that are monitoring the sensors, but these things can actually float around into particular areas and sustain themselves for a long time. And that would be nice to be able to see some of these missiles and other programs lower altitude versus the high altitude satellites.
Absolutely. Something we were discussing before the show as a team, I think so many Americans at home have trouble gaining purchase on this war, really understanding where we stand now. Very quickly, in about 30 seconds, could you help us understand, is this a slow march to defeat for the Ukrainian people, no matter how brave, no matter how resourceful they are? Is there still hope here?
I would always say that there's hope. It has been an interesting battle seeing it go back and forth. And that is the troubling issue is, will Russia take Odessa? If they do, the country is completely surrounded. And that would be very dangerous for Ukraine. But it is almost like a stalemate right now. And you got to remember that this is still a special operation. It's not a declared war, which really changes a lot of the rules. But right now, the Ukrainians have done great to hold themselves together and be able to hold the Russians off. So the Russians are a long game type of country, so it's not going to be over quick.
Absolutely. We appreciate your insight tonight. Air Force Major Glenn Ignacio. Have a good evening. Thank you.